Hi, I'm Heather Hannon, co founder of the Sound Reiki Institute, and I'm so pleased to welcome you here today. Thanks for joining us. Today is our talk on the Ancestral Bloodline Contracts. This is going to be very interesting information, and it's my pleasure to welcome Catherine Varga here. Catherine is co founder of the Sound Reiki Institute. She is an amazing intuitive healer, vibrational sound expert, author, just an amazing person, and been gifted to receive some very valuable and astonishing information from Source. So it's my pleasure to welcome Catherine. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, wonderful Heather Hannon. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all you guys for being here. Some of you are new to joining us, which thank you so much for being here. And I'm so grateful for you being here because clearly you resonate to the topic that we're going to be speaking about today, which is the ancestral bloodline contracts and what that is. And I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of it is based on the experiences that I've had with my clients who are my greatest teachers. You know, love everybody, love everyone. I have learned so much from working with others and finding unique ways of identifying different unique blocks that each person brings in order to be healed, that is ready to be healed. So today we're going to be speaking about this ancestral bloodline contract. What the heck are they? How do they develop? How do they come into somebody's life? And what are the effects that they have on people's lives? And of course, the most important is how do we get rid of them? How do we remove them forever and ever and ever? Because there is a way of doing that. And through my practice, my private practice, I've had the privilege of working with people all over the world. And what I have seen, no matter where someone is living or what their circumstances are, there is, of course, a common theme and a common thread. So I have found that when I had clients coming in who had these ancestral bloodline contracts, it probably, even 5 years ago was maybe 1 in 10 people, maybe 1 in 11 people. And then over the last year, I have seen it 1 in 5 people, 1 in 4 people. And now I'm really seeing it like 1 out of every 2 people is coming in with this issue that is ready to be healed. And I'm so excited to be sharing this with you because it's so important and it's so life-changing for those who have experienced this and then they don't. And I believe that those who actually have this, and we'll talk more about identifying that, are really are this is one of their purpose in life is to help their family bloodlines in order to heal this. The fact that they're stepping forward for healing, they're representing their families, which I think is a wonderful thing. So people are also fulfilling their purpose, one of many that they have in this lifetime, by actually coming forward and being able to represent their families and say, hey, something's up, something needs to be looked at. There's a really uncomfortable pattern in my family bloodline generationally that doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right. It feels very intense and it feels odd. And those are some of the things we're going to be talking about on how we kind of see the symptoms of whether or not we are experiencing an ancestral bloodline contract effect. So fasten your seatbelts. I look forward to sharing this with you, and let's go. So, what is an ancestral bloodline contract? Well, all contracts are agreements. So they are an agreement. In this case, ancestral bloodline contracts are negative agreements. So these ones are usually working with low vibration energy, low vibration entities, and with every ancestral bloodline contract comes a curse. So we are usually, what happens is that when you have an ancestral bloodline contract, you have a curse that goes with it, which means everybody who is born of the family bloodline of the person who received it, and they mostly have received this and have engaged with somebody where they're entering into an agreement quite innocently. Most people, for the most, I think I would say 99% of the people that I have worked with have not been aware that this was even happening. So let's talk a little more about that. Ancestral bloodline contracts are agreements that are made with that which is not of the light. They come with curses, and they also are managed by entities. Now, entities are something that I'm describing that are low vibration. They are not activated by light energy. Everything is born of the light. This energy does not take physical form. They stay in the fourth dimensional frequency, and they nourish themselves through energy. Now, the type of energy that low vibration energies work with is low vibration, and low vibration is fear. High vibration is love. So when we are resonating to a high vibrational frequency, we are more love-based thinking. We come from the heart. We try do our best. We're coming from a place of positive morality. We're coming from a place of wanting to be the best that we can be and in alignment to the greater good of all. We try to take the high road when we are having problems rather than looking to judgment or criticism or anger and staying in the land of frustration, bitterness, and unhappiness. Sometimes it's hard to get out of that space, but when we have these ancestral bloodline contracts, it's next to impossible. It is a function of this agreement that you stay at a low vibration energy because these entities are managing these contracts, which means they have permission to be with you. And their nourishment, like all things alive that need nourishment, is energy. And the only kind of energy that is comfortable for them to be absorbing in order to strengthen themselves is low vibration energy. High vibration energy like love, happiness, joy, that doesn't taste so good. Not so good. So what happens is that these entities that do not take physical form are masters, however, of the physical reality. They can move things. They can put thoughts in your head. They can have you imagine things. They can have you say things that you would normally not say. They can shut down all of your chakras through energy cords. And they can also infect the environment and everybody in it. So your home, your business, wherever you go, there's a sense of a low vibration that is connecting to you. And again, you may not sense it. What you'll be feeling is sometimes when you have a series of unfortunate events, and it happens to kind of everybody in your family, sometimes as we're growing up, we think that that's just the way life is. Look at those people. Look, that's just the way life is. Look at what's happening outside of our home. That's the way life is. And no, it's not. No, it isn't. When we start to see patterns of things, they're revealing something to us and something that can be healed because patterns are started and the patterns can be identified and changed. And this is, however, a very interesting pattern that comes more from a deeply spiritual energy. So all of this is happening on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, and it is affecting the third dimensional reality. So we have two kinds of energy: positive, high, loving vibrational frequency, and then we have low vibrational frequency, which is all fear-based. So fear is the opposite of love, and fear does not seek out love. Fear is also the root of anger, frustration, insecurities, low self-esteem, amongst many, many other things that are the opposite of love, joy, happiness, compassion, empathy, working as one, for the highest good, taking the high road, trying to avoid judgment, bringing peace, being gentle with yourself and others. And this is the two vibrations that we resonate to. Now, what dictates how high or lower your vibrational frequency is how you feel. We all know that what we think affects has a corresponding emotion that goes with that. But it's how long we hold on to that emotion that directly affects what kind of vibrational frequency you're sending out, whether it's high or whether it's low. Now, why is that important? Well, because energy is magnetic. What you are holding on to is what you will get more of. In the world of energy, like attracts like, opposites do not attract. So if you are feeling and holding on to a pain, sorrow, suffering that is a struggle to get through, and we stay in that instead of accepting it or denying it, what's happening is it's being parked, in our bodies. Even if we're in denial, the body has to compensate for this belief, this limiting belief, this effect of an experience that we have witnessed or personally experienced, that we tend to drag from our past and use as part of our lens as we look into the present and the future. Well, the more we focus on that, the vibrational frequency at that level goes out and more of the same comes back in. So when we have ancestral bloodline contracts, we are permanently at a low vibrational frequency because there's a lot of energies that are enforcing that and creating that environment, creating those thoughts that keep us in that emotional crisis or in that emotional discomfort that never manifests anything that we want, only the things that we don't. These are masters of what you think. They know you better than you do. They can throw things around the room. They can create illnesses. They can create all kinds of a series of unfortunate events, and it varies from each person. It's not necessarily the same thing, because what they know is what is your Achilles heel. What is it that's important for you? Watching somebody in distress or being in distress? And so you'll find that these things are starting to happen in the bloodline. And it's like, again, when so many things like this happen, it's especially from the time we were born, when we've never known life is any different. And our families have experienced the same thing generationally. It's really hard to say, something's up. You kind of say, wait a minute, no, I think this is something that, it's genetic, I'm born with it, it's kind of the thing, but no, that's not the case. And so many people are coming forward saying, I don't think that's kind of right. I think there's something else. And I think that that's a great thing. So with the ancestral bloodline contracts, what they are is a contractual agreement that has been made with somebody in the family that was done innocently and unknowingly. Oftentimes, that happens when that great-grandmother or grandmother is off and looking for healing way back in the time where we didn't have modern hospitals, and they went either for healing with somebody who was a healer, or they maybe went for spiritual guidance from someone who was focused more on spiritual or religious guidance, and whoever they went to was not working with the divine light. It was working with more darker energy. Now, whether that healer or spiritual person or whoever they went to who was connected with this, where they were seeking help, there was an exchange that happened, as most of the time it is. When we're calling somebody a healer or somebody to make a tincture for us because somebody in our family is sick, we exchange either an orange, a loaf of bread, or even money or anything. But so long as there's an exchange, that is an agreement. The exchange has to be done willingly. It cannot be coerced. It has to be done through free will. Now, that is a free will agreement. It's easy to be in a free will when you need something and somebody has what you need. And so here we are exchanging an orange for services. And oftentimes, don't we go back more than once? Here it is, especially through a whole lifetime, especially if somebody's living in a small town or village or something like that, and they don't have a lot of resources except for the person in town who's really good at healing. Now, the negative dark light, the negative low vibration energy, that is a darker light, I'm using that for our description today so we can see what the difference is that low vibration energy, that which is not using the light for healing, is able to heal, just so you know, so that it's able to heal. So the person who wants the healing and is getting the healing from this more darker energy, not from the light. And so, but there is an agreement, and every time that person goes back, there is another agreement that has been made that is not obvious to the person who's seeking out the services. So the great-grandmother went to a healer, let's say, which is often the case with my clients, and they unknowingly, innocently, I just want to help my family, can you help me? And, oh, sure, I can do this for you. Now, again, the healer may or may not even be aware that their healing gifts have a darker energy behind them. So this is innocently done, and because it's innocently done, these contracts can be canceled, made null, void, and deleted. And they can be instantly removed 7 generations past and 7 generations forwards. So when one contract by the great-great-grandmother, let's say, because that is very common for me to see that, because everything is born of the mother, so it often affects the feminine line in any family. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But going back to how it happens, so there's an agreement and there's a new contract and there's another entity that is now managing this contract with that great-great-grandmother. And what happens is instantly, because in the world of spirit, time is one. Past, present, and future is simultaneous. Whereas in our third dimension, we perceive time as more linear, past, present, and future in separate time frames. And so what happens is in the world of spirit, because this is happening on a spiritual level, is that it automatically affects 7 generations in the past and 7 generations in the future. Now, in the physical reality, that may not have been existing at this time, but it happens already in spirit, because everything happens in spirit first. Then it happens through our mental and emotional bodies. And the last place that disease shows up is in the physical body. The last place, not the first place. So here we have these warning signs, often by the way we're thinking and the way we're feeling about things. But on a spiritual level, that is being hidden, because when somebody has this in their bloodline, the great grandmother all of a sudden has it, from that moment on, even though the healing appears to happen, other things are going to be happening in her life with her family. It could be with her spouse, with her children, with her siblings. All of those people will be affected, and there'll be a series of unfortunate events that will start to be affecting the family physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, or all of the above. As everybody starts to have their own families and they start to have grandchildren, all of them will be born with this curse. All of them will be born with these contracts. And all of these entities and energies will be going along with them. The other reason why we want to clear these contracts is not only because of the physical and emotional and mental debilitation that they can offer, they also limit spiritual evolution. So if we are tied into a contract, if you believe, for example, in reincarnation, where we go from one life to another to continue to release karma, to improve ourselves, to raise our vibration and ascend our consciousness through these kinds of experiences, where we pay off debts with others that we have harmed maybe in past lifetimes, well, that is a natural cycle of evolution, of spiritual evolution for the soul. But when we have these ancestral bloodline contracts, everybody is stuck at a certain vibrational frequency, even if they've passed. They are stuck in a type of purgatory that does not allow them to continue to evolve on a spiritual level. And they're stuck in this reincarnation loop that doesn't allow them to evolve, because they are essentially held hostage by these entities that are using and manipulating this family bloodline for energy. And oftentimes, there's just not one contract. They go up to anywhere from 20 to 30 or more in some cases. Think about how often somebody has gone back for some assistance, somebody they trust, somebody they rely on. And so every time this has happened. And therefore, there is not one contract, there is 30. And so there is 30 curses. One curse goes with each of them. So that's a lot of heavy energy, if you can imagine. Very difficult to bring yourself up into seeing and feeling divine light energy when it's intentionally and with an agreement that a family member made was intended to be suppressed. Now, that does not mean that anyone who has this is not resonating with divine light energy and does not have love and light around them. Absolutely they do. In fact, one of the reasons why people get through what they get through is because there's so much support and love that is able to be surrounding them, and that is also guiding. So guides, teachers, angels are surrounding, very much so, those that are affected by this. But it needs to be removed because it was voluntarily connected. So even though it was done in innocence, it was still free will that was involved with the great-great-grandmother going to somebody who had this kind of energy and was working with this kind of negative, low vibration energy. So what happens is the effect on the families, again, with everybody who's born from the mother. So the grandmother's daughter, your mom, your children, all of them will be inheriting these curses and these negative vibrations. And these entities, when they're around, they can feel like a very oppressive environment, like a heavy environment. It can feel like sometimes you can see things, out of the peripheral vision, things moving around. But these energies do not want to be found. These energies are not going, hey, too bad, so sad. These energies are, they don't want to be found. They want this for generations, and them and their families are also benefiting from the series of unfortunate events that are happening in these families from one generation to another. And the way it can be affecting you is that it can again affect you mentally, emotionally, physically. I've seen clients who have been very physically ill, but doctors have not been able to identify, what it is specifically that is causing the dysfunction. As soon as something heals, something else is showing up in a different way, or else there is an experience of somebody that they care about who's going through a lot of problems. So even though it may not be them, it's affecting them emotionally, which is worry. Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried for this person. I care about them. Oh, I'm so worried. They have so much stress, so many things threatening them, and their happiness in so many ways. And gosh, it's one thing after another. Now, even though you may not be experiencing yourself, it's doing that is taking it on. So what I'm doing is I'm dropping my vibrational frequency in order to relate to the person who's going through what they're going through. And that's a lovely, compassionate thing. However, it's not helpful to anybody, because when you are like, let me relate to your pain, it's almost like, no, I want to send you love for that healing. I have faith and trust that good things are happening. I am sending you love. I am sending you peace. I am sending that which is not evident and not there. I am sending that, not more of what is already there. But the other stinker about that is that your vibration is low, and guess what? As you walk out into the world, people will be sensing your vibrational frequency. They do, you do that, we do that, we all are in tune to do that. We're all one. On a subconscious level, we all know what each other are thinking. And so what is happening is that people that are sensing that low vibration, will start to come forward to you. People who are perhaps, very demanding in terms of relationships. People who are very, not emotional or supportive in one way. You may have people that are lying, cheating, and stealing. You may have people that are manipulating others as well. You may have people that are hurting each other, and physically, mentally, and emotionally. There could be, again, other areas like work and career, job losses, struggles with finances, hard to find a place to live for any length of time. Always, not everybody is good. There's dissension in the family. There's always conflict with someone, and it affects everybody. And so there's always reasons to be dropping down into this low vibrational frequency. And so that is, again, going to, just by the nature of how vibration and frequency works, remember, like attracts like in the world of energy. You get what you think, you get what you feel, more of. And that can change in an instant. The moment you decide, that's not my reality. What would love have me do? What would love have me say about this situation? I understand what fear would tell me to do, but what would love have me do in this situation? And to take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself those questions. Those will shift you from a low vibration to a high vibrational frequency when you're moving into the heart and moving out of the head. But it's really tough to do that when we have these ancestral bloodline contracts, because they do come with curses, and that means it's kind of like a black cloud over you that is a ceiling of how high your vibrational frequency is going to be able to go, no matter how great your merit is. So this is done in innocence. Because it's done in innocence, it can be canceled, made null, void, and delete in this energy that we're working with right now. Our energy on this planet, your vibrational frequency, has shifted dramatically over the last 10 years, over the last 5 years, and especially over the last 3 years. And it is going to continue to be faster and faster and faster. Sound wave moves, energy moves like that. And the faster it moves, the lighter it becomes. When we have lightness, when we go into our true nature of a pure loving being, we allow ourselves to all of a sudden see up past the tree line of life, going, wow, there's a totally different world up there, and that's where happiness lives. But when we start to move into that space of frustration, anger, hurts that never heal, we start to move below that tree line, and we can't see very much. And so as we raise our vibrational frequencies by releasing limiting beliefs, by releasing toxic relationships, by loving yourself more, forgiving yourself and others, so that you can move on and let go and let live and let God and move on and be free of the past and the things that you're dragging into it. Hard to do that when we have ancestral bloodline contracts. So the wonderful thing about this, as I mentioned earlier, is that you are blessed. You are blessed because you will have divine light energies that are guiding you and protecting you. You are not alone. Even though you may have this as part of a karmic pattern in some way, you are definitely not alone. And in fact, your guides and teachers are always trying to help everybody to try to see the light and to see through the darkness, to see that there is something that needs to be addressed. And now our energy, right now, 2022, is at such a high vibrational frequency. Believe it or not, we have more light on this planet and it's increasing tenfold. And that more light will give us more clarity. We simply can see more. And that's where truths are coming to the surface in our own lives. Have you found some truths that have come through your own life that are coming to the surface? Ones you're willing to see, ones you're willing to admit, ones you're ready to let go of. This is one of them. And so for those of you who've resonated to our communication, our conversation today about the ancestral bloodline contracts, you're here because there's something that you resonate to. There's a reason that this makes sense to you. So maybe you are going to be the representative of your family, which is also fulfilling a purpose that you have to finally cancel, make null, void, and delete these contracts, and to transmute all negative causes and effects for everybody in the bloodline. When we have these, and we start to have our own families, and we've been born with these contracts, we start to attract people in our lives, relationships in our lives that support these contracts. But oftentimes, we'll also attract either spouses or friends that are already made a contract with us before they got here, that they were going to help us with this, that they were going to be the love and light that were going to help us to keep that light and to try to get through these contracts and get them identified and healed. The thing is that oftentimes, even though spouses or partners or soulmate friends or close people that are with us, oftentimes they come with such high vibrations, much higher than ours, so that they can help us to see the light and to bring that light. Oftentimes, their compassion and empathy sometimes can be overcome by these energies that are trying to prevent them from awakening the person who has these contracts. So oftentimes, spouses do not have these contracts. It's not in that respect like attracts like. In fact, most of the times with the clients I work with, it's only one spouse or one partner that has these contracts. The other one usually doesn't. And it usually is only from one bloodline. In other words, it's one partner, and it's only from the mother's side or the father's side. That's where these contracts will start. And it's only from usually one of them. On very rare occasion do I meet with a client whose bloodline contracts originated with the mother's side and the father's side. Very rare. I won't say it doesn't happen because I did come across it once, but it's very rare. Most of the time I see it in the mother's bloodline because everything is born of the mother. But the father has mother too, so that's where that would come through, is with everything born from the father's mother's bloodline. So oftentimes when I take a look and say, okay, how do we find out who has this, or if somebody has this? Now, for those of you who are healers and have your practice and are active, you have your own way of identifying or diagnosing issues with your client through your intuitive gifts or techniques that you have. I know for me and our Sound Reiki certification program and the Sound Reiki practice that we do, we work with muscle testing. So for those of you that have a form of muscle testing, which is an advanced form of kinesiology that so many people do in so many different ways, I would ask the question, is to guides, divine source, is it 100% true that I have one or more negative, dormant, and or active ancestral bloodline contracts? That's the way I would ask that question if you're muscle testing, because muscle testing gives a yes and no response. So that will give you an instant confirmation of whether or not that's something that has been hidden behind the scenes, in your generational bloodline that did not want to be revealed. That will start to reveal it. It'll start to come more. Even the fact that you're here, even the fact that you're asking about it, you are getting really, really close if you have this to get this over with. So well done. What will happen is the spouses also will be affected. Now what will happen is through energy cords, these are the spiritual connections that this type of energy uses to connect with people in physical form. You'll start to see things happening also with the partner. It could be they are the center of attention of the illnesses that are going on, so you stay in a position of always worry and panic. And so, because we love these, this is happening to people that we love. And of course, the energies do not want the bright light of these partners to be influencing the environment, as well as they cannot tolerate the light. They must dim it in some way. So they will enter into the consciousness of the person, and they will find an area of weakness, of concern, and they will start to magnify it and start to have events come forward, thoughts in their heads to magnify it. And then all of a sudden, as you know, whatever we focus on, we receive. So if we're focused on, oh my goodness, I'm worried if I'm sick, I'm worried I'm sick, it's eventually you're going to manifest illness. In this case, it's going to be very quick. It's going to be tenfold because you have somebody or some other energy that is manipulating your own. Now, I know this all sounds kind of huge and overwhelming, but please know that this is happening in a way that is not like people are aware of this. This is just, again, people can say, hey, it's life. And most of the clients, before certain patterns started to happen closer together, where they're kind of going, hey, and plus their own spiritual evolution, they're starting to see things because they're holding more light energy. And when we're holding more light energy, as all your prayers are answered, as you are beautifully protected, as you start to question, your guides and teachers will be able to whisper in your ear or connect with you in the intuitive way that they do, in a way that you're able to receive it. Prior to that, it's like they're there and you're like, what? I know something's there, but you can't hear it because you've got this wall, this veil around you that just says, oh, I don't know what that is, let's just move on. And that's what they want you to do, just move on. And so what we were doing now, we're born with this. So most people, when I take a look at the ancestral bloodlines, how does it happen? Well, somebody's gone to somebody for healing, for guidance, somebody that they went back and forth to, and they received it, not from the light energy, but from dark energy, which always has a contract, always has conditions attached to it. 7 generations back, 7 generations forward, happens instantly that everybody now has these curses and these contracts and these entities that have the right to be there. I have had several clients that went to different wonderful, amazing healers, and they were able to feel better, but only for a short period of time. Whatever happened came back. And it's not because the healer wasn't amazing. It's because these stinking contracts are still active, which means that they have a right to do whatever they're doing. And no, they don't. And according to the light, we're definitely going to be changing that, as we have for so many people so gloriously. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this work and to be able to have the technique on how to clear this energy be provided from source, and to be able to use it with so many people. Now, can you imagine, somebody who's had this series of unfortunate events, like maybe you have as well, that all of a sudden doesn't have that happening anymore. All of a sudden now they have to just get rid of the habit of expecting it. Now they have to get rid of the habit of looking over the shoulder, and now it's about being free of all that energy, because all of a sudden you will feel lighter. And you know what? All the wonderful work that you have done in bringing love and light into your life is making things brighter and clearer. And if I may share, that no matter what has happened as you were growing up before this moment that you were able to identify this, the universe, who loves you so much, has held everything in trust. You've lost nothing. When you are reaching the vibrational frequency that is freeing from this, and you will, and you are, you will your energy will then be able to ascend to the frequency of where everything is that your heart desires. Everything that it was intended to be yours in this lifetime has been held in trust. And when these contracts are released, they are released to you, because you are now able to go surpass your vibrational frequency of which you were stuck with, born with. And even though your merit has been wonderful, and you are loving, caring, and doing the right thing, and studying and doing fantastic things in your own raise your own vibration, it goes up. But what you may find is that you go 2 steps forwards and then 3 steps backwards. It's like, Really? And so you kind of get an idea that something's working for you, and then all of a sudden it isn't. And again, why? To try to keep that level of frustration, because when you're frustrated, guess who's nourishing? Guess who's having dinner? And so we don't want that. And so that's where we are catching our mindset. We're catching our how long we stay in that energy, and really looking to change that, which minimizes the impact of these energies. They have to kind of step away until they're finding something that allows them to have you in a state of sadness or low vibration, where they can start to enter and get closer into your sacred space. So the other thing is, again, with the spouses, so we have partners, we have people that are also affected. So sometimes we have to witness that. So they will also, when these contracts are cleared, be free of that as well. So when these contracts are cleared, everything is canceled, made null, void, and deleted. It is then for 7 generations past and 7 generations forward, including the homes, including the spouses, and including all the children and everybody who is being affected or being touched in this way. And for me, the most powerful way to do that is through sound. And we have worked with sound Reiki for so many years, the last 15 years, which is a love-based energy system that allows you to work with the sound of your voice with prayers of intention to move energy instantly and at a very deep level, in this case, at the root level. Now, there's so many wonderful techniques and so many wonderful, wonderful healers out there, and that have amazing things that either they've learned from others, they've got homegrown, just like me. And I would definitely encourage those who have some advanced healing skills to take a look at this in their own special way, and how they look at this with their clients and also with yourselves if you find that some of these symptoms have been showing up with others. And this is an opportunity right now, as everything is coming to the surface, for us to be healing. For the most part, I recommend that the healing for these contracts are done within a private session with an experienced healer who's able to identify the contracts, because sometimes when we are, and especially if we're not practiced in the healing arts at the moment, and we're maybe learning, we may be a little bit more vulnerable and not be as aware as to how energy can start to manipulate you as you start to do the process. And so, because that sometimes can happen. So I would recommend definitely to take a look at working with an experienced healer who's able to identify, ask them, hey, can you check and see if I have an ancestral bloodline contract? Is that something that you do? Because what will happen is, and for me, what I do is I like going into something called the Akashic Records. And the Akashic Records is something that we are going to be talking about very shortly in another presentation, because I find it has been a very interesting tool to be using with healings, in addition to some of the sound and vibration techniques that we use as well. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But when we take a look at how we remove these energies, it's really more about entering and identifying all of these contracts. It's really important that you know how many that there are, because if you only get half of them, then the other half are still going to be there, and so you won't see much of a change. But the effect of having this removed, according with my clients anyway, has been amazing. I've had people say to me that it's interesting, because most people don't know, because they've been born with this, so they've never had an experience without having these energies in their lives ever. But the sense of calm, the sense of freedom, the sense of movement, the sense of well-being, spiritually open, connecting to their guides, all of a sudden their prayers, they're connecting, their gifts, their talents and gifts are really expanding in an exponential way. They're starting to be more aware of things, not as much brain fog. Their physical bodies, in many cases, are starting to feel less painful, or starting to activate the healing that is there, that doesn't happen when you're stuck in a low vibrational frequency. Healing happens in love. Healing happens, at high vibrational frequencies. And so what we want to do is get you there as quickly as possible. But remember, the universe has held everything in trust for you. That is including your well-being. Not only that, beautiful home, or that career, or that wonderful relationship, and all the wonderful things that you want to be, the best that you want to be, all of that is going to be available. And you will find that all the intentions that you have, the things that you are moving towards, the things that you're looking to heal within yourself, are going to be much easier to look at. Now, that doesn't mean that your limiting beliefs that you created in this lifetime is going to go along with that. What will happen is the energies that have been with you have been magnifying those beliefs. So it's hard to get out of that web that we've weaved. But it is gone. Can you imagine having that level of clarity? And that's what I wish for everybody. And not only that, woohoo, your level of ascension, the ability to continue to ascend your energy, to get you and your family bloodline, 7 generations past, 7 generations forward, out of that loop that is stuck in, that without evolution on a spiritual level is finished. Everybody else gets to go where they were intended to be without this. And because of you, because of your decision to take a look at this and saying, something's weird, something's up, there's got to be something. And even if you can't name it, and most people can't, but they're driven enough for with self-love and their belief that they're in total determination to heal themselves, that they're willing to take a look at anything and see what comes up. So take a look at the patterns in your life. I wouldn't accept them as normal. I would say, please question them. Take a look and see if there's a possibility, either through your own self-diagnosis. Especially if you're healing and you have your different techniques that you can be using. Otherwise, I would definitely suggest that you work with a healer who has an area of specialty in this area for you. And it can be completely cleared as you are representing your bloodline for 7 generations past, 7 generations forward in one session. And so, because we can identify this, why? Because we are in a high vibration energy that everything is revealed. Working and healing karmic patterns, karmic contracts, working with all of those are things now in this energy and frequency that we don't have to live out. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that you have karma from a past life come into this lifetime to heal it? And can you imagine that you can heal it without actually going through it? So we are now able to even look at karmic contracts, karmic patterns, and without having to live it out, that where somebody has to repay you for something that they did, now you can get to a point of just forgiveness. And as you ascend and can easily get to a point of forgiveness of others, that does not have to play out, because the whole point was for forgiveness. And so there's remarkable things that we're able to heal that are extraordinary. And this is one of them with the Ancestral Bloodline Contracts. And what we're going to be doing is moving forward in a series that we're going to be presenting to you. And we're going to do something every week in the month of July. And we are going to be presenting next karmic patterns and karmic contracts. Do you know the difference? Well, in our speak that is going to be happening next week on July 5th, we're going to be talking about karmic patterns and karmic contracts. Do you know the difference? And we're going to talk about how they affect, how they show up, all the different kinds of karma that we see, and how they can be affected, and also how they can be transmuted and healed. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And then after that, we're going to be working with the Akashic Records. So on July 13th, I'm going to be doing a speak on Akashic Records and how to work with them. And that is the spiritual records of everything. Everything you've ever done, everything that you have ever said, in every lifetime that you've ever lived, past, present, and future, is in existence in this record. And the Akashic Records are a spiritual library of everything. So everything that has ever happened in any way, any time, anywhere, any planet, any universe, any atmosphere is listed in the Akashics. And we're going to be talking more about that and how you can integrate that into your healing practice as well, if you don't already do that. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being so open-minded to listen to this kind of extraordinary ancestral bloodline contracts, what they are, how they affect people, how they can be cleared, and how they are tied, I think, to the purpose of those who end up clearing them. So thank you for being here. I hand it over now to lovely Heather Hannon to see if you guys have any questions or comments about what you've heard today.
Great. Thank you. That was so interesting. I love every time I hear about it, I even learn something else. So it's fabulous. And also, you didn't mention that you actually do this clearing too. So if someone is interested in a personal healing session, that they can contact you and contact us at info@soundreiki And we'll,
Absolutely, yes. If anybody's interested in working with me, I'm actually taking private sessions right now for ancestral bloodline contracts or anything else that anybody is being called to look at, to ascend yourself and to move forward with your vibrational healing and move forward in your life and be the best self. So, absolutely, thank you for mentioning that. I absolutely would be very happy to assist anyone who's interested in it and booking a private session.
okay. And we've had a few questions and we've got more. If you want to ask a question live, will you put up your hand in the reactions little button there? You can do that. And we did have a question. Is a pendulum effective if you can't muscle test?
I would say yes. I would say yes. If you are really like a pro, at doing that pendulum, I would say yes. I would say anybody who's kind of like a beginner at doing stuff, this it may not. You may be. There's the real reason. It's not because you're not talented and amazing. It's because that you may be vulnerable for some influences because you may have a shred of doubt about whether you're doing it right or whether or not it's going to be accurate. As soon as you have that doubt creeping in, that's it. It's over. You're now down here and you're no longer here. And this is where you want to stay. So absolutely, I think if somebody is working with a pendulum, I think working with a pendulum is very much like muscle testing. But I would, if I may suggest, to be a master at it so that there is not any doubt that you have about the responses that you have. I know with my muscle testing, I have 100% faith in what I do, so I don't question it at all, and I found that that's been very helpful for me moving forward.
Great. And now also, someone asked, are there positive ancestral contracts? For instance, when a family is very successful and continues to be.
Is there positive bloodline contracts? To be honest with you, I would, my first inclination is to say no. It's an excellent question, and I will look into it and I will get back to you. My first inclination is to say no, because you don't need a contract for good things happening. So, contracts are binding. You can have positive contracts, no question about it. For example, a karmic pattern with somebody. Hey, we're coming into this lifetime and, I'd like to heal this and I'd like to help you with that. Okay, let's have an agreement that we're going to heal this karmic contract and come into this life together and we'll meet and I will be open to receive that which you want to give me in order to bring this balance. So I would say there is contracts, like there's soul contracts, for example. When we have a contract with another person that says, gosh, same type of thing, there's something that I want to heal in this lifetime. Well, there's something I want to heal that is kind of close to that. Why don't we go in together and help each other to do that? Perfect. You've got skills I don't have. I've got skills you don't have. Let's meet up in this lifetime and let's do it. And so we have positive, contracts. We have soulmate contracts, for example, that, okay, we're going to meet in this lifetime and, here's what we want to accomplish by doing that. And how is, my evolution going to benefit and your evolution going to benefit? And let's do it in a way that it does. Because it's not necessarily every lifetime that, we all always have, we always have different kinds of soul contract, not contracts, but soulmate kind of relationships. It could be in the form of friends, it could be in the form of family, and of course it could be in the form of partners. But when something is really important, when you're trying to really look and see that something needs to be done in this lifetime, often an agreement, which is like a contract, will be made. So, is there any ancestral bloodline contracts that are positive? I would say, at first I said no, but I would say yes. It would be, my question to myself would be, why would that be necessary? Why would that be necessary? And so that's a great question. And I am very much looking to know. I haven't seen anybody with that, but I haven't looked for that before. So excellent question. I would have to say yes. I would say that yes, you could have positive bloodline contracts because you can have so many different contracts with so many other people and so many other experiences. And contracts are agreements. So the agreements that you have with others can be positive, they can be negative, and they can be broken.
Hey,
even
thanks.
the positive ones. And that's what we're going to be talking about, which is so intriguing, with karmic patterns and karmic contracts. I've got some stories to share with you that have been extraordinary, even for myself, and I've seen a lot of things. And I can tell you, it was just like, what, this could happen, what? But the good news is that it's being revealed, in our third dimension to be healed. So I take it back. I would say to you, absolutely, there could be some positive bloodline contracts. The thing that intrigues me about saying that is, why would that be necessary? Because when you are in a contract, that means you are bound to other people. And so that means that everybody has to evolve at the same time. And so everybody has each interpretation of different life experiences. And so in order to fulfill, especially with group thinking, everybody needs to be at the same vibrational frequency. So if people are coming into incarnation, then that means that in that lifetime they have to hold or increase the same vibrational frequency as the rest of the people in the family. So in other words, everybody's typically positive. Everybody's typically looking at problems in the same way, not exactly in the same process, but with the same outcome. I believe I can do this. I think it's fine. It's a very different thing. And I like the idea of a positive family contract, because maybe that's the reason why one would go into a contract, to ensure and continue to ensure that somebody's not, somebody may be struggling in this physical lifetime, and maybe the contract would help them to be held up by the family members. So because you can't move forward in a group setting unless everybody is at the same vibrational frequency. It's one of the reasons sometimes that soulmates don't meet. There could be a few soulmates that you would be meeting with, but sometimes they don't, because you have to, the evolution, the free will choices that are made in this lifetime may contribute to the increase of the evolutionary process for one partner, but the other one may be overcome with the intense energies that are on this planet when you incarnate, and are not able to be able to adapt in a way that doesn't affect their vibrational frequency. People come together, soulmates, when they're at the same vibrational frequency. That is one of the beautiful attractions of everything coming with like attracting like in the world of energy. But sometimes, if we're waiting for a specific partner, in a way, for example, things are happening beside the behind the scenes. We can put our intentions out there to meet somebody because you feel that you're ready, but the other person has to be ready, and they have to be at the same or higher, same level, not the same, not higher, same vibrational frequency, in a positive state or in a low vibrational frequency. You'll meet them if you're at a low vibrational frequency, and they are too. But if you're at a high vibrational frequency, then there may be something going on behind the scenes that they need to kind of catch up. They're not quite there yet. And when that happens, boom, you can practically can't stop it. So that's why having a high vibrational frequency is important, and clearing these contracts, or any kind of contracts that are low vibration, is really important, because your overall vibration is affected by this agreement.
Here we go.
That's better.
We're getting some personal questions, and everyone is different. What they've got affecting them is it's for them. So if you're going to ask specific questions about yourself, then you would probably need a healing session. So we had someone saying, I've gone to many healers and psychics in this lifetime. Have I created more contracts?
Well, you know what? It's not necessarily only coming from healers and psychics. I don't want to imply that is the case. It's whoever it is that you are giving power to, that you're open to. And when somebody is working in the spiritual realms, which is where this is coming from, it's the openness, and it's basically being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, and there's some reason for that. So yes, it can help happen in this lifetime. It doesn't necessarily have to be the great great grandmother. We love our great great grandmothers, but in my experience, it has been great 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 grandmothers, great great grandmothers, and great grandmothers that have been involved. Very rarely have I seen anything else, and it's always the female. when it comes to these kinds of things. So whether it's in the mother's bloodline or the father's bloodline, it would be coming because all things are born from the female. So that's where I have found. But you can certainly, if you find that something doesn't feel right, it isn't right. And so there may be some people that you are working with that are not in a high vibrational frequency that you're not aware of. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a bloodline contract if you're working with somebody who's not necessarily of the light. Most of the times that will happen if there's an exchange, but every situation is so unique and so different. You could be going in with a lot of light energy, in which case you might be just too much work.
Okay. And if you can clarify for someone, why would we make contracts that hurt us in our lives?
You're right. Well, we don't do it on purpose, and we're certainly not aware of it. These are done innocently. The great great grandmother or the grandmother example that I met really went with open intentions and fully believing that this person was working with honorable intentions, because that's how they would be coming across. And in fact, some people are not aware that they are also working with darker energies. They're just not aware of it. And because why? They are hidden. They are not interested in being found. They want to create an illusion for the person that's there. That's why sometimes it's very difficult for people to be aware of it. And sometimes even some healers are not aware of it, which is the case in this case, or somebody who's a spiritual consultant of some kind, or working with that kind of area where somebody has got energies working through them that are now being transferred to the person who's seeking assistance. So it could happen in that respect, but when you're open and you're looking for, spiritual guidance, and you're open in that way, I find that is probably the most time that's vulnerable. But I have never yet come across anybody who has, and I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and I have never yet come across anybody who created it in this lifetime. They usually are the ambassador for their family, the unknowing ambassador for their family, that is the one who actually comes forward because of going through having experiences with different spiritual healers or gifted people who are looking and committed to helping others. So heart-centered, but I find it rare that somebody has, if they have it, that it's rare that it started in this particular lifetime. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because there's a whole bunch of things going on, but our vibrational frequency is very different than what it was with our ancestors at that time for what it is right now. So there's more light here. There's lots and lots of light here. So it's not that easy to start stuff like that. Although there's an attempt for it, it's a good question, and the answer would have to be yes, but it has not been my experience that people have created that in this lifetime.
Now, ceremonial situations, can they open us up to compromising energy, especially plant medicine, religions, etc.?
Yes, absolutely. And it's not related to an ancestral bloodline contract. It can just, you can have negative entities and curses that come without the contracts. And so that is just one form that comes specifically, that is ancestral, which is one of the reasons why I say that you could start maybe at contracts in this lifetime, but for the most part, with this energy of ascension that we have on the planet, we're looking to clear them. A lot of them are not being created. We're looking to clear them. This is old stuff that we're not looking to take, and it is also affecting the personal evolution of the people on this planet right now that are looking to ascend and contribute to the ascension, the higher level of consciousness, this bringing more love and having more love-based choices and decisions that are being made is, in my opinion, where we're going. And that happens one person at a time as we love and heal ourselves and release the past. So these energies and these entities, for example, or curses, can come from other people, physical people. Again, energy, we're all connected, right? If you all believe what I believe, in that we're all coming from one source, whatever you decide to call it, we are all one. If you do believe that, then we can affect each other. And we, again, on a subconscious level, all know what each other are thinking. And so when we send love as a prayer to help somebody, do you believe that that prayer is received by that person? Probably. That's why you're doing it, with that intention. And you're right. They receive it. Absolutely. We're connected. Just like the roots of the trees are all connected in a forest. They're one mind, one consciousness. Now, when you're upset with somebody and, oh, you so and so, gosh darn you, you've just rejected me. I'm not good enough. Well, if you think I'm not good enough, you just wait and see when you go out there. Nobody's going to be good enough. You're never going to find anybody better than me. You just wait and see. You will never be successful. You will regret this for the rest of your life. And that, if there's enough energy and somebody's really stewing about that, cords can be sent, attachments, negative attachments to that other person, like a net, like a web connection can be sent to that other person, and a curse can be sent as well. Because if you put enough negative energy in something and you're sending it and directing it with a laser focus, you're that powerful that you can put a curse on someone else. But the moment you do that, you've created a karmic relationship with them. Now you've done something that has negatively impacted them, which means you get it too. Something that curse that you've sent is now what you've received. So now the two of you are connected energetically, because only you can undo this from a karmic standpoint by paying the person back, by doing something honorable for them, or having them forgive you, which is the way we're able to do it now without actually having the person there or having the event balance out on a physical level. If we do it on a spiritual level, and according to the Divine Karmic Council, we have permission to do so. And it is important so that everybody can raise their vibrational frequency by letting go and healing the karmic patterns and also contracts. But the entities can come, sometimes we can have curses, that has been sent from another person. Now, if that person does not have any entities on them, there's probably no entities that are being sent. But you can pick up entities who always come with curses. They just walk with curses. They're just a bag of curse. And what they do is, they're the ones in those, haunted houses. Sometimes they're the ones in the dark alley that you don't want to go down. There's the ones sometimes in the basements of old tired buildings that nobody goes into, that's some moaning and growling, and we don't like that. These are kind of the energies that could be there. And they're looking to push you out. They're not looking to have you, for breakfast or anything. They want to push you out. They don't want to connect with your energy. So there's different kinds of energies and entities that are you're able to connect with. But again, these energies would only be interested because they can manipulate or control the energy, and that you may not be aware of your own power. You may not honor your own identity. And when you are able to just kind of, not be concerned about that, or I don't care, who am I? I don't care who I am, and you don't care about yourself, and you start to be you start to, again, that's low vibration energy. And what happens? We know that when you're thinking wah wah wah, that vibration is going out, which means that's a call for everything to come in. Doesn't mean it's always going to be entities. Oftentimes it just could be toxic relationships or experiences. But entities and curses can come in different ways. This is just simply one of them with the Ancestral Bloodline Contract that is passed from generation to generation. Certainly other curses or connections with entities can happen in this lifetime, anytime. But when you're resonating to a high vibrational frequency, as I said, you're just too much work. You're just too much work to get you down to here, because you love life, you love yourself, you are connected with your source, you see a bigger picture, you take the high road, and you've been working on yourself, and it's paying off.
Thank you. And I think that's it for the questions now.
Great questions. Thank you so much. You guys teach me so much all the time. I really appreciate you.
And there was a couple of people who came forward with personal questions, and we'll be getting back to them offline. Yeah.
Certainly.
Yes. So that's wonderful. And there are people on this call who are not Sound Reiki power healers.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to offer you a special discount so that you can learn about energy and how we work with energy and how Catherine works with energy. So we're offering you a $100 discount on the Sound Reiki Power Healer program. And why would you want to take that? Well, because you're going to learn how to connect to source instantly. You're going to learn how to create a chamber of light and protection around you in seconds. And you're going to be able to raise your vibration right away, which is so important to holding a positive energy. You'll be able to align and balance your chakras in minutes and remove attachments like cords. So that's what you learn in Sound Reiki. and you learn to muscle test. So if that's something you want to add to your toolbox, it's a really, really valuable tool that we use all the time. I don't even know how many times a day I use muscle
Every day,
test.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm connected to source and checking many things all day long. So it's a wonderful program, and we'll be sending you the link to that should you wish to explore that. Yeah, that'll be going out in the next day with the replay link. And yeah, and our next class is going to be July 5th, and that's karmic patterns and karmic contracts. So lots of information, and we look forward to sharing that with you.
Thank you. And I agree so much. And this is so great. So we have three-part series that we're going to be sharing with you. This is the first part of it because we thought, let's take a look at different contracts and let's talk about that with you. So as Heather just said, we're going to be working and sharing with you the difference between a karmic pattern and the difference between a karmic contract. Very interesting. This is something that has come up with clients recently as well. You are also fascinating, and looking forward to sharing that with you. And then let's go into the Akashic records and find out the library of you, and find out what's in there and how you can work with it and how you can manifest things with it and how you can use it and incorporate it in your own expansion of your healing gifts, or even just expansion of your meditation practices, and just making the expansion of yourself and with knowledge and new techniques that come in. And it's just fascinating. It never ends, and we certainly love that, and we love sharing that with you. So these are all free, all of these talks that we're sharing with you, and then we will be introducing to you a series of workshops afterwards for those of you that would like to take this a step further. So thank you so much for being here. Take a look and see what you think about the Sound Reiki certification program that allows you for personal healing, clearing your energy, and introducing you to muscle testing, which is going to be probably the most powerful tool that I have ever used, because it will give you the answer to everything. So thank you so much again. Love having you here. I hope you enjoyed this, and we look forward to seeing you next week for karmic patterns, karmic contracts. Do you know the difference?
Namaste. Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a great day. Blessings.
Love you guys.